Today I'm gonna teach you how to get better at round 5 of Gonggi, also called the flip. In the last stage of the game of Gonggi, your task is to throw the stones up, catch them on the back of your hand, then toss Gonggi up again and grab them from the top. And for many people, this round is crazy hard. So let me give you some tips on how to complete this stage more effectively. Tip number 1, and this is kind of a prerequisite to a successful game of Gonggi: make sure your Gongis are heavy. And what I mean by that is that your Gongis should have some weights inside. They should be weighted. Having weighted Gongis like these ones, for example, will not only make round 5 much easier, but also the whole game of Gonggi, just because they won't go all over the place when you throw them onto your surface. So these are traditional weighted Gongis, and watch what happens when I throw them onto the counter. As you can see, they stay within the same area. Now watch what happens if I use these plastic Gongis without anything inside, so they are empty inside. And the same goes for round 5. If I use these traditional weighted Gongis, round 5 immediately becomes much easier. Tip number 2, similarly to the weight of the Gonggi, the size of the Gonggi also matters. In my opinion, smaller Gongis work better. For example, here I've got two types of Squid Game themed Gongis. They are both 3D printed, they are both weighted, but as you can see, they vary in size. So these larger, kind of more chunky Gongis are actually more difficult when it comes to round 5 than these smaller, more compact ones. Even though they are also weighted, it's actually gonna be quite difficult to complete round 5 with these. As you can see, I did pretty good here, so it's definitely possible to win with these ones, but I highly recommend getting smaller Gongis, because with smaller Gongis it is kind of easier to keep them on the outside of your palm and therefore win more effectively. Tip number 3, and this one is very important: before you do the flip, take a couple of seconds and toss the Gongis around in your palm to adjust them in this specific shape. So I believe this shape is called the house, and when you start the flip with this shape, the Gongis are the most likely to stay close to each other. So once you reach round 5 and you've got all the Gongis in your palm, you can take a few seconds to sort of toss them around like so to adjust them into this shape, and that's gonna make things that much easier for you. Tip number 4, you don't want to throw the Gongis too high. So when you're doing the flip, you want to toss the Gongis as low as possible. You don't want to do that and try to catch them, and you definitely don't want to do that and try to catch them. You know, just try to be gentle and throw them relatively low. Don't hit Gongis with the back of your hand when doing the flip, so don't do this. When you toss them, you want to follow them down gently, like so. So basically the idea is to let the Gongis fall on the back of your hand instead of trying to immediately get to your Gongis with the back of your hand. So I think this approach of following the direction of the Gonggi as they fall is just much better. Tip number 6, when catching the Gonggi after the flip, it's important to spread your fingers. You don't want to keep your fingers all together and just hope that the Gongis will magically land on the back of your hand like that. You wanna spread the fingers slightly to create these gaps for the Gongis to fall into. Of course, you don't wanna spread your fingers too much, because when you do that, the Gongis will simply fall through these gaps. You just want to spread them enough for the Gongis to fit in these gaps and stay there. Next up, when it comes to catching the Gongis with the back of your hand, it is much easier if you are double jointed and can bend your fingers like that. I unfortunately cannot do that. This is the best I can do, and you can definitely master this round without being double jointed. I'm just saying, if you are double jointed, then make use of that, because it will be much easier for you to catch those. And if you are not double jointed like me, then still try to arch your hand as much as possible. Now, once you catch the Gonggi with the back of your hand, you actually have some time to adjust them to make sure that they are easier to catch again. So for example, as you can see right now, I have 4 Gongis that are in a pretty good position, but this one here is gonna make things difficult for me. So what I can try to do right now is to use my pinky finger to sort of get this blue one right next to the other ones. So now I've got them pretty close to each other, and it's gonna make the catch easier. So to sum up, if you are not going for your PR, you do have some time to adjust the gongis to make the catch easier. Now for the last tip. When starting out with round 5, I think it's important to learn the motion as well. And for that, we're gonna start with just one gongi. So forget about these 4 for a second. And we're gonna practice this movement with just one gongi for now, while trying to keep in mind all the previous tips. So we don't wanna throw it too high. We wanna spread our fingers slightly. We wanna follow the gongi down gently, and ideally you won't even have to look at the gongi when you complete this motion. And when you get comfortable with one gongi, just add another one. So now we do the same but with 2 stones, and once you get comfortable with that, add another one. So now with 3 stones we do the same motion, then we add the 4th one obviously, and then when you feel like you're ready, you add the last one, and you just practice round 5 basically. And obviously it's not always going to work out for you. Sometimes you will lose 1 stone, sometimes you will lose 2 or 3. And you know, making mistakes is part of the process. Just keep on trying and don't forget about the tips that I gave you, and soon enough you will be doing pretty good with round 5. So that's it for round 5 tips, but as a bonus I will give you some more quick tips on all the other rounds. So when it comes to round 1, my advice is to take it slow. You don't have to immediately do this round this fast. When you're starting out, you can really take your time to think about which piece to choose first. For example, right now a sensible choice would be to get this one first, and then take your time and think about which ones you wanna go for next. You will quickly learn the pattern, and then you can start trying to speed up. Now for rounds 2 and 3 I have the same recommendation, which is to use the swiping motion when picking up gongis. What I mean by that is that it's much easier to slide your hand across the surface rather than just try to grab them all at once. Let me show you once again for round 2 first. Now for round 3. Of course, there will be situations in which the gongis will be pretty close to each other, and for example in this situation there is no reason to necessarily slide my hand across the surface. I can just sort of grab it. But if the gongis are a little further from each other, it is sensible to slide your hand across the surface. Now when it comes to round 4, the only advice I can really give you is to make sure to smash the gongis into your surface, because when you do that they tend to stay close to each other and it will be easier for you to grab them. And that's all the tips that I had for you. I do hope they were useful. Let me know in the comments down below what kind of gongi video you'd like to see next, and if you enjoyed this one then please like and subscribe.